Okay, so hi everyone. Okay, so I am Faye and we will be talking more about grammar. Okay, so now we will be talking about past continuous. That means it is an action that happened at some point in the past, okay? So we have here I was doing the past continuous. Okay, so we have here section A. Let's take a look at section A. Okay, let's have here, it's 6 o'clock now. Kelly is at home, okay? So we see here it's 6 o'clock and Kelly is at home. She is watching television, okay? So currently, she is watching television. But at 4 o'clock, she wasn't at home. Okay, here we have 4 o'clock. She wasn't at home. That means she was at the tennis club. Okay, so we have here at 4 o'clock, she was playing. Okay, and what was she playing? She was playing tennis. And she wasn't watching, or she was not watching television. Okay, so at 4 o'clock, she wasn't at home. She was at the tennis club. Okay, we have here 3 p.m. at 4 o'clock and at 4:30. Okay, so during 3 p.m. she began playing. So she started to play. And somewhere between 3 o'clock and 4:30, that is 4 o'clock, she was playing tennis. Okay, so that's why she wasn't at home during this time at 4 o'clock. So we will try to explain this a little more. So we have the basic structure of the past continuous: was or were. Okay, was for singular and were for plural. Okay, and plus your verb with ing at the end is the past continuous. So we have here positive: I, he, she, and it was. Okay, was. We have here was plus your verb with ing. So that is your main verb. Doing, watching, playing, running, living. Okay, don't forget the ing. And we have here for we, you, and they, we use were. Okay, were. Now that is in the positive sense, but what if it's in the negative sense? We have here I, he, she, and it wasn't. Okay, wasn't is a contraction for the words was not. So that means it's negative. I wasn't, he wasn't, she wasn't, it wasn't. And of course your verbs: doing, watching, playing, running, living. Okay? Now we have here the plural: we, you, they. So what are we going to use? Weren't. Okay? And weren't means were not. It's the contraction of the words were not. Now, what if we have a question? How are we going to say it in a question? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna use was or were. Okay, for example, was I doing? Was he watching? Was she playing? Was it running? Something like that. Okay, for example, what was he doing? So that is like the arrangement of the words in a question. So here, if we are going to put it in a statement, the subject comes first, then followed by your be verb, your past be verb, and then your verb, your main verb. But when you are asking a question, the be verb is always, is first, then the subject, okay? So it's like we are just interchanging them. For example, was he watching? Or what was he watching? Where was she living? Something like that. And of course, we use were for we, you, and they. Okay? Now let's take a look at the examples below. What were you doing at 11:30 yesterday? Okay, so we have here in the question, what were you doing at 11:30 yesterday? So that means what were you doing yesterday at 11:30? Were you working? Were you working? So this is answerable by yes or no, okay? Next one, what did he say? I don't know. I wasn't listening. So we have here I, your subject, wasn't, was not, and listening, which is your verb, plus ing. Okay? It was raining, so we didn't go out. So probably it was raining sometime at the past or in the past, so we didn't go out. Okay, it was, of course we use was because our subject is it. It was raining, okay, in the ing form, so we didn't go out. So it only happened sometime in the past, so it was continuing, or it was happening continuously at some time in the past. Okay, we have here the next one. In 1994 we were living in Japan. Okay, so this is the time in 1994. So at some time in 1994, we were living in the past, or in Japan. I'm sorry. We were, of course, because we, our subject is we, so we use were, and of course our verb within the ing form, living. Okay, let's try the next one. Today she's wearing a skirt, but yesterday she was wearing pants. Alright, so we have here today, she's wearing a skirt. So remember, the present continuous is wearing. So that means it's happening right now. But yesterday or at some point in the past, she was wearing pants. Okay? She was, of course, our subject is she. So we use was. And of course, your verb plus ing. And let's have the last sentence here. I woke up early yesterday. It was a beautiful morning and the sun was shining and the birds were singing. I woke up early yesterday. So this is your past tense, your simple past. I woke up early yesterday. It was a beautiful morning. The sun was shining. Okay, so we have here was, and then your verb shining. Okay, in the ing form, and the birds were singing. Okay, singing, were singing, because the subject is plural, so that's why we use were. And here our subject is the sun, so that's why we use was. Okay? And of course the verb here, singing, in ing form. Alright, so we have here spelling. So if your verb is like this one, so we are going to change some of its spelling. For example, if our verb is live, so we will be changing it. We will be removing the E and then add ing at the end. For run, we're just gonna add another letter N, so that's why it's running with double N. And for lie, words that end in IE, we change it to Y, and we add ing, okay? Live, living, run, running, and lie, lying. Okay, so let's take a look at letter C. Present, present continuous. Am is are, so those are your be verbs, right? Plus ing, so your verb is in the present tense plus your ing. Now we have here was. If it's going to be in the past, the be verb that we're going to use is or are was and were plus your ing, but that is in the past, okay? This one is in the present. I'm working, so that means am working, so your verb plus ing, am working, so that is happening now, okay? That is happening now. But here, I was working at 10:30 last night. So there is your time expression. We have time expressions last night. I was working, so we have was. Now it's in the past because it happened sometime in the past. So it continuously happened sometime in the past. I was working at 10:30 last night. That means last night, yesterday night. Okay, so let's have the second one. It isn't raining. Isn't is not. And your verb raining plus ing. So that is happening now. Okay, so it is continuously happening now. But we have here, it wasn't raining when we went out. So by the time that we went out, it wasn't still raining. Okay, it wasn't raining. That means it's shiny, it's sunny. Okay, it wasn't, your verb was, and of course not. That means it's an indicator of a negative statement, plus your verb rain plus ing. Okay, and let's have here the last one. What are you doing now? Or what are you doing? That means it's happening now. Or what are you doing now? Okay, your be verb are, because we have your subject do, you, and your verb doing plus ing. But here, if we are going to use the past continuous, what were? Okay, were, because our subject is you, and doing, okay, at 3 o'clock. So we have here again another time expression. What were you doing at 3 o'clock? So that means what were you doing at some point or during 3 o'clock. Okay, so are you doing? Were you doing? Of course, it's in the past. That's why we use were or was. Okay. Now let's try to practice. Okay, so we have here the first one. Let's take a look at the exercises. Look at the pictures. What were these people at 3 o'clock yesterday afternoon? What were they doing? I mean, where here? Write 2 sentences for each picture. Okay, now let's take a look at the picture. This is the first one. So they are doing something at 3 o'clock, okay? So this is Ling, Brian and Carol, Tom, Tracy, Mr. and Mrs. Cody. So let's discover what they did at 3 o'clock yesterday afternoon and where were they, okay? So let's have number 1. Oh, number 1 is given. Ling was at home. Yes, she was at home. So what was she doing at home? She was watching TV. Okay, so we have here was. At home, she was watching, of course, because our verb should be in the ing form. She was watching TV. Okay, so that is what Ling did yesterday afternoon at 3 o'clock. Now let's have number 2. Carol and Brian. So what do you think did Carol and Brian do at 3 o'clock yesterday afternoon? And where were they? Let's try number 2. Carol and Brian. Carol and Brian. So where do you think did they go? Yesterday. They were buying food. Okay, so Carol and Brian were at the supermarket. Okay, very good. They were buying food. Very good, because Carol and Brian, it's more than one, so we use the words were. Okay, we use the be verb were. Carol and Brian were at the supermarket, and of course they were buying food. Okay, buy plus ing. Okay, very good. Now let's have Tom. What do you think is Tom doing at 3 o'clock yesterday afternoon, and where was he? So what do you think was Tom doing yesterday at 3 o'clock? Tom. Tom is in his car. He is driving. That is actually in the present tense and the present continuous. But we are talking about the past continuous. So what should be our be verb and what should be our main verb? Tom at 3 o'clock. That means it's yesterday. So it should be in the past. So what do you think is Tom doing at 3 o'clock yesterday? Okay. So Tom was in his car. Okay, was. Because Tom is singular, so we use the be verb was. Okay, Tom was in his car. He was driving. Okay, so we use was, and of course our verb here, drive plus ing, driving. Okay, so that means he was driving his car at some point in the past. Okay, now let's have number 4, Tracy. So Tracy at the train station, wait for a train. So what was she doing at 3 o'clock yesterday? So what was Tracy doing at 3 o'clock yesterday? Tracy, we have here Tracy. Ling, Brian, Carol, Tom, Tracy. So now we are talking about Tracy. What was Tracy doing at 3 o'clock yesterday afternoon? Tracy blank at the train station. So what is the be verb that we're going to use? Tracy was. Okay, Tracy was at the train station. She. Okay, Tracy is a girl, so we are not going to use he, but we are going to use she. Okay, Tracy was at the train station. And she. Okay, it's not he, because the pronoun that we should use is she, because Tracy is a girl. Okay, he is for male and she is for female. She was waiting for a train. Okay, but the verb was correct. She was waiting for a train. Okay, and your verb wait plus ing, waiting. Very good. And now let's have the last one. Mr. and Mrs. Cody. Mr. and Mrs. Cody, number 5. So what did they do at 3 o'clock yesterday afternoon? Mr. and Mrs. Cody in the park and walk. Mr. and Mrs. Cody were in the park. Okay, Mr. and Mrs. Cody were in the park. And we have here, we were in the park. We were. I think the correct pronoun should be they. Okay, they were walking. Alright, they were walking. Okay, because you are not part of Mr. and Mrs. Cody. So that's why you are going to say we, because it's not in the first person, but it's in the third person. Okay, it's not a personal pronoun. So that's why we have here Mr. and Mrs. Cody. Okay, they. The pronoun that we're going to use is they. Mr. and Mrs. Cody were in the park, and what were they doing? They were walking. Okay, walk plus ing. Alright, and how about number 6? And you? What were you doing at 3 o'clock yesterday afternoon? Or where were you at 3 o'clock yesterday afternoon, and what were you doing? You're welcome. So I'm asking you, what were you doing and where were you yesterday at 3 o'clock afternoon? So I'll go ahead. Okay, I'll start first. I was at the office. Okay, so I was at the office and I was working. Okay, I was in school. Okay, very good. That's good, you're studying. I was studying, and that is correct because the be verb that you used was. I was, and of course your verb study plus ing. Okay, very good, Rin. Alright, now let's proceed to the second activity. Now we will talk about Sarah. Sarah did a lot of things yesterday morning. Look at the pictures and complete the sentences. So we have here different time frames: 7:10 to 7:25, 7:30 to 8:10, 8:30 to 9, 9:20 to 10, 10:30 to 11, and 12 to 12:45. So we have here different time expressions and time slots. So we are going to discover what she did yesterday morning. Okay? So the first one is given at 8:45 here, 8:45 here, somewhere between here. Okay, so this is number one. Somewhere between 8:30 to 9. Okay, 8:45. So what was she doing? She was washing her car, as we can see here. She was washing her car at 8:45. Okay, now let's take a look at number 2 at 10:45 here, somewhere between here. This time, what was she doing at 10:45? What did Sarah do at 10:45? So we have here between 10:30 and 11. So what did she do at 10:45? Or what was she doing, I mean, at 10:45? Okay, so this is number 2. What was Sarah doing at 10:45? At 10:45, she was swimming in the pool. So you can say that she was swimming here. She is in the pool, right? She was in the pool and she was swimming. Okay, and now let's have here number 3 at 8 o'clock. Where is 8 o'clock? Here, between 7:30 to 8:10. So what was she doing at 8 o'clock? Okay, so what was she doing at 8 o'clock? Between here, between 7:30 and 8:10. So what was she doing? Do you have an idea? Do you have an idea what she was doing at 8 o'clock? Here, this is your clue. Or you can say this one. At 8 o'clock, she was reading a newspaper or she was drinking coffee. Okay, at 8 o'clock, you can say this one. You can say she was reading. Okay, was your verb was, and of course your verb read plus ing. She was reading a newspaper. Or here she was drinking. Okay, drink plus ing. drinking coffee. Okay, so that is what she did at 8 o'clock. Now let's have number 4 at 12:10. So where is 12:10? Yes, she was drinking coffee. Very good. Now let's have number 4 at 12:10. So where is 12:10? Here. Somewhere between 12 o'clock and 12:45. So what was she doing at 12:10? Here. What was she doing at 12:10? Take a look at that one. And here. So you have various clues. So what was she doing at 12:10? Between 12 o'clock and 12:45, she was preparing her lunch. Okay, very good. So you can say that. She was, because we use the be verb was, and of course prepare. Now we changed the spelling of that one. Prepare, we remove the E and change it to ing, right? So the spelling is not prepare plus E and ing, that is wrong, but we remove the letter E at the end of the word and then we changed it to ing, okay? She was preparing her lunch. Okay, very good. And now let's go to number 5 at 7:15. Where do you think is 7:15? Here. So this is going to be number 5. Between 7:10 and 7:25. At 7:15, what do you think was she doing? At 7:15. Okay, so let's have number 5 as the last one. She was having her breakfast, okay? She was having her breakfast, very good. So you can actually use that because that is the base form of the verb have plus ing, okay? She was having her breakfast, or she was having breakfast, or she was eating her breakfast, okay? You can use that one. She was eating her breakfast, she was having her breakfast. Alright, so I think let us stop there with number 5 because we don't have enough time, okay? So I hope that you learned something and I will see you again sometime, okay? Bye bye!